What's up, YouTube? Drummer JMM here. First thing, obviously, I'm not Tinymech. This isn't my channel, but he did present me with the opportunity to share a video on his channel, and I was glad to be given that opportunity. So thanks to him for that. A little bit about me: I'm pretty much the hero guy. If you get to know me or my channel and whatnot, you're not really going to see anybody that plays heroes more than I do. I mean, Crow Cresta, I don't even think stands a chance. But anyways, that being said, I have an installment on my channel right now called Heroes of the New Era. I'm currently up through the 7th installment, and this video will be the 8th installment. Getting that out on Tinymech's channel is pretty awesome, I think. The thing about my segment, Heroes of the New Era, it's not like, okay, well, I have the deck, and then, a couple weeks later, it changes up, so we do an update. Each build in the Heroes of the New Era segment is an entire build in and of itself. Each one's designed to do something different. It's designed to play different. It's designed to put a hero deck in your hands that doesn't work the way everybody necessarily expects it to. Of course, the core competencies of any particular type of hero deck, whether it's a bubble variant or a skill drain Barbaros variant or a hero beat variant, those core things are always going to be the same. But the way you put the deck together and the way you actually play it can make a vast difference in how the deck works. And that's a big ideology behind how this particular build works. There are a couple things in here different that you normally probably wouldn't see together, but there are reasons why they're here, and there's reasons why they work. So we start off the deck. We have Stratos and Triple Alias, of course, the heart and soul of any hero deck, really. But then I'd play a 5th hero, and that is 1 copy of Captain Gold. Now this completes our 5-card hero lineup, but Gold's really a multi-purpose card that does so much for the deck. First off, you discard him to search the lone copy of Skyscraper we play. And I'll get to Skyscraper later. But by doing so, Captain Gold has thus let you grab another search, which is pretty much a plus. And he baits your graveyard for Miracle Fusion. So, being a light hero, you can banish him instead of Alias, and that means your aliases are going to be live longer for Hero Blasts and such. As well as if you can't summon him because you don't have Skyscraper on the field, but you have Miracle and only one other thing in grave or whatnot, or you've sided into Super Polys, you can set Captain Gold and then Miracle or Super Poly with him, because you can fuse with your own face downs. So he has a multitude of uses for the deck, and it really helps bring everything together. We play double Thunder King. 3 is a bit too much, I feel. Once your opponent already has something set up, at that point, summoning Thunder King, unless you have Honest to get over it, really doesn't do anything. So I'd rather not have a dead Thunder King in my hand. I'd rather draw into some back row. So double Thunder King. 1 Cyber Dragon. The main reason should pretty much be for the gear game matchup. That way you can Chimera Tech into whatever. He's an out to Zen mains because you can Chimera Tech with that also. If all else fails, he's a 21 beater. He baits Bottomless, he baits Torrential, he baits Warning, he's Honestable. Cyber Dragon is just really awesome. He beats over opposing Thunder Kings and Aliases and whatnot. But then the aforementioned Honest. We have 4 light heroes, Thunder Kings, Cyber Dragon, and quite a bit of our extra deck that is also the light attribute. So Honest is really versatile with a lot of that. Now this is an 11 monster card lineup, and those final 2 monsters start to be where things get a little different. That's 1 copy of Zephyros and 1 copy of Gores. Zephyros really hasn't seen play in Hero since Future Fusion left, but there's a multitude of other reasons to play him. Gores, on the other hand, Gores wins games. I mean, there's really not much to say about Gores. The only problem with Gores is making sure that that you don't have dead cards sitting on the field, so that when you have him, he's live. Zephyros helps alleviate that first off. Whether the field spell's active, or maybe you have a dead set Starlight because you've used some resources, or your opponent's managed to miss everything but the Starlight, you can bounce those things off the board to make sure that your Gores is live. In a grind game, you can set Bounce for Zephyros to have a monster to attack with, which is pretty awesome. But probably one of my big plays that I will always do with this deck is Mind Control and Exceed with my opponent's monsters. But what that usually means is I'm stuck using an Alias or a Thunder King to do so. I'd rather bounce my guy for Zephyros than Mind Control and Exceed and then resummon the Thunder King or the Alias so that Thunder King is doing what he does best, or that my Sparks are still alive, or anything like that. So those are awesome. And then as well as being darks, if need be, you can always Miracle Fuse for them to get over something like Catastrophe if you don't have the Alias Spark combo. or any other back row for that matter. On to spells, we play 16. We start off with Double Pot of Duality, Reinforcement, and E-Call. This is our sort of search toolbox of the deck. Duality gets us into whatever, whenever. And then the Road and the E-Call help us search our heroes. There are a couple of ratios that I will play in anything I build, and that's if you want to use X copies of a card, you need to have Y ways to use it. So that being said, those ratios are 3 to 1, 5 to 2, and 7 to 3. So I have 5 heroes, thus I'm playing 2 ways to search them. If you are playing Super Polys in the main, which this build does not, you could play that extra copy of E-Call, because it will make things more consistent to get into the heroes, and then you can always pitch the possible dead ones for the Super Polys, but that's something totally different. So we have the 5 and 2 ratio of searchers and dualities. Sort of following that ratio, we play Double Spark. I mean, we have the 3 aliases. We can search it with Stratos and the 2 searchers back there. So that's only 6, so that doesn't really hit the 7. Although we do have Shining and Hero Blast that we can get them back. It's just not as consistent to play the 3rd copy of Spark. I have other ways to deal with back row rather than Spark, so that 3rd copy isn't necessarily like, well, I don't have MST, so I need Spark. That 3rd copy just sort of gets in the way, it clogs, and if you're in a situation where you're kind of top decking, Spark isn't the thing you want to be drawing, so you got to get that out of the way. Similarly, we play Double Miracle Fusion. Again, with me hating dead top decks or opening hands, Miracle Fusion in the opening hand without Future Fusion is pretty much dead, and it's going to be that way for quite some time, and I'd rather that not happen. If you go back to my channel in the past, I've done videos where I played no Miracle Fusions. I went back really old school with the deck and just played straight control with it. I've played builds that play 9 fusions. There's a Neos variant that plays triple Miracle, triple Super Poly, triple Miracle Contact. But anyways, this particular build, only 2 Miracle Fusion, because I don't want dead Miracles. This is more of a slower paced control build. I'm not just sitting there trying to rip Miracle Fusions to go into Shining like all the time. But if you don't want to take my word for it, Angel Flores, the hero top guy all over the place, he just won with heroes in this really teched out, weird looking 42 card build, but he only played 2 Miracles, and he said for the same reasons. He didn't want to be dead drawing into Miracle, especially early game. We play 1 Skyscraper. Skyscraper's there to search with Captain Gold, of course. If you don't know what Skyscraper does, if you are attacking with an E-hero into something that with a higher attack than you have, your hero gains 1,000 attack. So Stratos attacks at 28, Alias attacks at 29. If you're playing against maybe a Malefic matchup, you Skyscraper over their field spell, and then Miracle for Shining and attack for 42, which gets over their 4,000s. But the big thing here, Gravekeepers and Dark Worlds, and maybe sometimes even Dragolinity are a thing, and they're sort of that type of deck that most people aren't prepared for in game 1, and that gives them a bit of an advantage because they're sort of that rogue matchup. Having Skyscraper in the main deck as an out to their key field spells gives you a little bit of an edge over their rogueness, and sometimes that can be the difference in the game. For back row hate, we play Triple MST and Heavy Storm. Alias will get warninged every time in fear of Spark. You don't want that to happen. You don't want Thunder Kings, to get bottomless and whatnot. You just want to have the back row clear before you make any particular play to make sure you can get set up. Because if they have the outs while you're trying to set up, you're going to be in a bad position. So you want to have all that back row out of the way as fast as possible. Thus, those 4 copies. And then we play Mind Control. Like I mentioned before, I will Mind Control to exceed all over the place. I'm going to steal, a Gear Armor, flip it so they don't get the effect, exceed. Or GK Spy, same thing. Flip a Raikou, steal the effects. Steal a Snowman Eater, steal the effect. Mind Control is just really, really awesome. And then, of course, Dark Hole and Monster Reborn as staples. There's 16 spells. Onto the final cards of the deck, 13 traps. We start off with the Solemn Brigade, Judgment, and Double Warning. To continue with Monster Hate, we have Double Bottomless, and then 1 copy of Torrential. Now, the 1 copy of Torrential is for a couple of reasons. in decks like this, once you're set up, you don't particularly need Torrential. Torrential's there to stop them from exploding maybe early game, or if they manage to get a foothold for the advantage mid to late game, you can retake control of the board with a Torrential. But also only playing one copy instead of two minimizes the chance that you're going to run into their Starlight Road, or Starlight Roads. So there's that, because this deck hates having to deal with Stardust. We play double Hero Blast, which cycles our aliases, kills off problem monsters on the field, allows us to put them back on the board to attack with Honest for Spark, whatever. It's really, really solid. Without Future Fusion, you can't play 3 copies consistently. We play 1 Compulse. I would probably play more copies of this card if I wanted to break the 40 card lineup, but I chose not to. It's not particularly needed. I try and save it for Zen mains if I know they have the rank 3 toolbox. Otherwise, I just get some big beater or some extra deck monster off the field, so that they're out advantage and I can take back over from there. To couple with that, we play double D-Prison. I think, honestly, if I were to play a 41st card, it would be a 3rd copy of D-Prison. It's absolutely amazing, this format. Completely universal to get rid of anything that could possibly be a problem for you. We play 1 Mirror Force. Again, helps control the board. Typically, you're just going to 1-for-1 with it like it's a D-Prison anyways. But I opted for it over the 3rd D-Prison for now. Because there's that chance that they have multiple things on the board, and it'll help you gain control. Especially with our MSTs and such, hopefully we can get rid of the Starlight before we have to Mirror Force. And then finally, 1 copy of Starlight Road, because Heavy and Torrentials and Darkhold and Black Rose Dragon and those things exist. On to the extra deck. We play Double Shining for double Miracle Fusion. And then for the sided Super Polys, we have 1 Nova, 1 Zero, 1 Escurideo, and 1 Gaia. You'll notice I don't play Tornado. I have summoned Tornado a total of twice in his existence in this game. Both of which were against Chaos Dragons, testing for Nats. That being said, I feel like it's never needed. Essentially ever, especially now. So I'd rather have the extra deck space for something else. Normally, I will only side Super Polys in against the hero matchup. But these 4 are only in here in case, for some reason, I've mind-controlled something and go to Miracle Fusion with it. Or if, for whatever reason, I choose to side deck a Super Poly against something else. But being that I only side them in, normally speaking, for heroes, I play 1 copy of Vision Hero Adoration. 2800, he's a big beater. He takes any 2 hero monsters. And then I can target another hero I control and a monster they control, and they lose attack equal to my other guy. So it's like I have Alias, their guy loses 19, I beat over everything. Or in the mirror, I'll Super Poly with their hero for this guy, and then Miracle into my own Shining, uses effect on Shining to nuke another monster on their field by 3200, and then you pretty much have a clear board to swing through as well. So he's really good with the Super Poly in the mirror match. And then 1 Chimera Tech for the Cyber Dragon. The Exceeds are pretty much all standard. 1 Utopia, 1 Gemnite Pearl, 1 Maestro, 1 Photon Pap, 1 Blade Armor, and 1 Excalibur. You're only going to really ever go into one of these guys at any point in time. I mean, normally you'll want to go into Blade Armor for 4,400 2 turns in a row, but at 2,200 a pop, sometimes he's just not big enough, and you need Excalibur to get over something like a BLS. There's no Shockmaster in here, because the only way you're ever going to get it off is to summon, bounce something for Zephyros, and then either Monster Reborn or Mind Control, and I felt like that was too many card combo to deal for a Shockmaster when it could just as easily be Bottomless or Warninged, since I don't play Lances, or Bribes or whatever. So I didn't want to try and overextend into a Shockmaster and lose a ton of advantage for it, so I chose not to play him at all. And then 1 Stardust Dragon for the Starlight Road. Now, the extra deck is really, really stun-orientated. We start off with double Doom Cow. Practically everybody's going to side out of Max C's and Effect Veilers that they have in the main deck once they see what we're playing in Game 1. That being said, they're not going to have free things to kill off your Doom Cows. Being a 1900 beater is awesome as well. Sometimes they'll even side them in for their mirror just to have more things to clash with Thunder Kings and Aliases. Again, with those hand traps sided out, Dino Rabbit can't get over it unless they suicide with the Sabersaurus. Otherwise, they have to waste a Rabbit, they have to waste a Tour Guide. Windups have to waste a rat, they have to waste a rabbit, they have to waste a shark or anything that forces them to waste resources to get him off the board, since they're not going to have the freebies anymore. And then to deal with things like windups, we have triple effect Veiler and double max C. The thing about these 5 hand traps is, depending on the matchup, you don't have to go into all 5. You can go into just 2 Veilers, or just the max Cs, or maybe a 2-1 lineup. You'll go into all 5, probably plus the Doom Cows against like windups. If you're playing Geargia, you'll go into Geargia Machina. You'll go into Doom Cows, probably 2 Veilers, as a consistency thing. If you're playing against the Karakuri matchup, you'll probably go into all 7 as well. That way you can try and stop the Berets and the Beretos. When they go to do all the massive extending, you can draw like mad with Max C. But by having access to all 5 copies of those hand traps, you can pick and choose the ratio you want depending on the matchup you're playing and how your opponent's deck's built. For Dark World, we play double Gemini Imps. Got to stop the dealings and whatnot. Just gives us a free plus, and then they don't get to do anything else. We play double Super Poly. Like I said, I mostly side this in only for the mirror match so that I can get their shinings off the board and make the mistiming. But if the situation calls where I feel like I want it in some other matchup for whatever reason, I do have the extra deck to help accommodate that. We play 1 Knock. Knock's going to kill off the Geargia armor. At that point, they have to get into another Geargia armor. Usually that's going to take too long, and you'll be in a good position to be winning anyways at that point. Similar to Geargia armor, sighted Snowman Eaters against you, it's going to kill that. You're going to get rid of entire playsets of Raikou, playsets of GK Spy. It's a really solid card. I don't feel like I want to run more than 1 right now, though. We play 1 Close Forest. Against those rogue matchups like GK or Drago Entity, or a little less rogue Dark World, they rely on their field spells. So already having 1 main deck field spell to help control that, but couple that with Close Forest, where field spells at that point can't be activated, and then if they manage to kill it, they still can't activate a field spell for another turn. Really puts the hurt on those decks, and I don't think I've ever lost a Gravekeeper matchup where Close Forest hit the field. It's that staple. And the last 2 cards in the sideboard are double Soul Drain. It's going to stop all the Dark World effects. With Abyss Rising coming out, it's going to stop all the Atlanteans and such. It's a little more versatile than Shadow Mirror, but it's a little less potent. It's not going to work against Gravekeepers, which is sort of sad. But I feel like because of its greater usability, it's a little more staple. It's a little more the right choice. So anyways, that's the deck. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks again to Tinymech for allowing me to put this video on his channel. Go check out my channel, comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.